Welcome to today, the March 31st local update on the situation locally surrounding the COVID virus. First, we're going to start with a notice from the Renfrew County Health Unit. I know everybody wants to know what the local situation is insofar as cases and how the virus is spreading locally. So today, actually this afternoon, we received this notice, and it says that the total confirmed cases in Renfrew County District has risen to 7. So the first new one is a woman in her 60s. She tested in Ottawa at Brewer Arena Assessment Center on March 16th, 2020. She remains at home in isolation and is being monitored. So the case is associated with travel. Then we have a woman in her 50s. She tested in Perth on March 29th of this year. She remains at home in isolation and is being monitored. No travel associated with her onset of symptoms. Then we have a male in his 20s. He developed mild symptoms on March 22nd. He was tested at home by paramedics of the Renfrew County Community Paramedic Program on March 28th, 2020, and he currently remains at home in isolation and is being monitored. There are no symptoms associated with travel insofar as that young man's case is associated. A woman in her 30s developed mild symptoms and was tested on March 19th at home by the paramedics of the Renfrew County Community Paramedic Program. She currently remains at home in isolation and is being monitored. So her case is associated with travel. Then lastly, we have a woman in her 30s. She developed symptoms and was admitted to the Pembroke Regional Hospital. She was tested on March 27th of this year, and she has been discharged from the hospital but remains at home in isolation. That case is associated with travel and was also in close contact with a confirmed case. So all necessary precautions are being followed to ensure the safety of the patients, the public, and the healthcare workers. And they're continuing to conduct case and contact management with the appropriate individuals and the organizations. And it's very important to note that anyone who is not abiding, who has been ordered isolation, and who has tested positive, it's very important to note that the police can arrest the people if they leave the house or leave their home. Also of note is that this virus is not discriminating by age. So we have a young man in his 20s, 20 women in their 30s, a woman in her 50s, and a woman in her 60s. So we have to be vigilant, pay attention, stay inside, do what you can to protect yourself. Again, at the end of yesterday, the County of Renfrew declared a state of emergency, and that means that the County of Renfrew Emergency Plan and its Emergency Operations Center is now active. So Warden Debbie Robinson said this declaration of an emergency allows the county to enact measures, make key decisions, and access future funding from the province. So we'll keep you updated if any new measures are implemented. Warden Debbie Robinson also adds that having the state of emergency will further assist the county maintaining essential services and addressing the increasing threat of COVID-19 outbreak in a very effective manner. Now, if we trot over to the city of Pembroke, there is some information for people who live in the Riverside Drive area. That's at the west end of Pembroke, right past Riverside Park, in the area of the Ministry of Natural Resources. And the City Public Works wants to tell the residents that the work on the water should be turned on by 3:30, so it should already be on. If it's not returning to normal, and just be patient, it will shortly. And they ask that you run the cold water tap from the laundry tub, which is preferred if you have one, or the cold water tap from the kitchen sink until it runs clear. And that, again, that is after the water has been returned to service. And you have to run that cold water for a minimum of 15 minutes. And that should clear up any of the discolored water that may appear once the system is turned back on. So if you have any questions, you can call the city, and extension 1409 should give you specifics if you need any. Earlier today, on the provincial front, Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Education Minister Stephen Lecce says that schools in the province will stay closed at least until May 1st for teachers and May 4th for students. So that's at least. And Minister Lecce says they will do whatever it takes to allow students to graduate and ensure that there's no barriers to getting into post-secondary schools. Elementary school teachers are working very diligently right now, preparing for online classes and courses to be available to their students. Now, we've got a number of municipalities locally who called in and let us know what is going on in terms of sandbags being available. So far, the water in most areas has not increased above normal levels, but the people who live in low-lying areas still have to be prepared for the I did mention North Algona Wilberforce yesterday, but apparently I failed to put up the phone number, so I'll make sure I do so today. At this time, they're keeping an inventory at their Golden Lake sand shed, and the residents are welcome to come and fill sandbags for your own use. But you're advised to call the office first so that they can track where the bags are being used and how many are being used. And there is the telephone number for North Algona Wilberforce if you need more information. Then we have the town of Deep River. And Reeve and City Councillor Glenn Doncaster told us that 6,000 sandbags are currently available. So that's Deep River now, 6,000 sandbags available. They're available by calling Jessie Pace at the town hall. And you can reach Jessie Pace by calling 613-584-2000, or on the weekends you can call 1-800-342-6442, weekends or after hours. The cost there in Deep River is 40 cents per bag. And we come a little bit more west and we go to Laurentian Valley Township. And as a result of the experiences in 2017 and 2019, the township has now established a flooding event response level of service policy, which has been posted on the township website. If you have access to the internet, you can go there. And letters are in the process of being mailed out to property owners in the area of the Ottawa River. So we do have that information, but it's best to call Laurentian Valley Township first. The people at Laurentian Valley Township at the office are watching the water levels very closely, and they will post additional updates on their website as they become available. And the telephone number there for Laurentian Valley Township if you need assistance, if you don't receive the mail, or if you do not have access to internet, 613-735-6291. Now we're going over to Brudenell, Lyndoch, and Raglan. Yes, we did have some flooding there last year. They had a recent meeting and discussed the possible flooding issue, and the fire chief there indicated that they have a good supply of sandbags ready for their residents at no charge. Residents can fill the sandbags themselves, or members of the fire department and volunteers have helped in the past. So that is if we do see the waters rising and people do need help. So it is important to recognize that with the ongoing pandemic, problems may be created for the space to fill the bag. So we will have to maintain our social distancing if we're filling sandbags, if it gets to that point. The municipality does have a stockpile of sandbags, which is available to residents. Now, any residents who do want access to the sandbags need to contact the municipal office, and the township does not charge for them. And you can contact the office at 613-758-2061. That is Brudenell, Lyndoch, and Raglan, so Palmer Rapids area. Now we're just going to go a little bit further east down Highway 60, Madawaska Valley, and we have the Mayor Love. She is well prepared after last year and after 2017. They've been through it twice now. They're well prepared for any potential spring flooding. The municipal staff have been monitoring the freshet since it began. They have 4,000 sandbags in stock and can readily access more if needed. So municipal staff can deliver clean sandbags, sand, and instructions directly to the residents who request them when there is a danger of flooding. So that's the method they used back in 2017 and 2019, and it worked well for them. So they're continuing to monitor the situation as it's unfolding, but as it looks at the moment, the freshet will not result in flooding in Madawaska Valley. Again, it depends on the temperatures and precipitation and what's waiting for them from further north. But at present, it looks safe. And if you have any questions, the number to call is 613-756-2747. And thank you, Mayor Kim Love, for calling in and letting us know what's going on there. So in addition to the water notice for the west end of Pembroke near Riverside Drive, we also heard from the city of Pembroke in response to the question about sandbags. And the city of Pembroke has at its immediate disposal 2,000 filled sandbags, as well as another 10,000 bags, all of which are available free of charge to residents upon request if required. So they also have on hand a large amount of sand with access to more if and when the need dictates. So the city did send letters to the typically affected residents earlier this month, advising them of what supports are available and reminding them of actions they should take to protect their properties. Again, the time to protect your property isn't when the water is getting close to the foundation or your front door. If you see that the water's rising, or you think it's going to rise from what you've heard upriver, be sure to start sandbagging earlier than later. The city staff there also is monitoring the river levels and participating on regular calls with the regulatory bodies who are assessing the flows. It would be strongly recommended if local property owners have issues or concerns related to potential flooding that they be directed to contact the city through their website or by calling the operations department. And the operations department phone number is 613-735-6821. And ask for the operations department. Also available on their website if you have access to the internet. Now, we had an announcement earlier on. We have a few more details, but not criteria. And this is on the 75% wage subsidy to employers on behalf of employees. So the government announced it will subsidize up to 75% of an employee's wages to help businesses keep their workers and retain them on the payroll through this COVID-19 crisis. So there was a 10% subsidy offered originally. This 75% is not in addition to the 10%. Many businesses called in, and the MPs, as well as people on different methods of communicating with the government, said that 10% is not going to do anything. Now, to qualify for this, and this money goes to the businesses first, they must have had a drop in revenue related to COVID-19 of at least 30%. And the government will cover 75% of the first $58,700 a person earns, which works out roughly to $847 per week. Now, the payments can be backdated to March 15th. And we know a number of different types of businesses that were closed down right away. And those businesses can backdate their claims to March 15th. Now, the government has also encouraged businesses who do obtain this 75% subsidy to top up the other 25% out of their own resources. The way all of that will be calculated and whether or not it will come somehow in the way of a payroll deduction or a check from the government really isn't known at this time. Again, the criteria are still being formulated. It's also not known whether or not or how businesses will be required to prove that they have had a 30% decline in revenue. And we also do not know if companies will be vetted before the subsidy is granted. We're waiting for confirmation on that. An explanation determining the qualification, 75% subsidy, still again has not been provided. We're waiting for the criteria other than what has just been mentioned. The details are still being finalized. So if you have input on that, please ensure that you forwarded it to me and I can forward it on to the government. It's also important for the employers to know that 75% of wages will be treated by the government, by Canada Revenue Agency, as income and taxed as such. So the businesses will be taxed on the total amount of the 75% of wage subsidy as a tax. And right now, there is going to be a delay in that because the Canada Revenue Agency is focused on rolling out the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, and that is the maximum of $2,000 per month to replace income for people who do not qualify for employment insurance. And just a bit of bad news, and it's no April Fool's joke. Tomorrow, the carbon tax increases for people in Ontario by 50%. It goes from $20 per ton to $30 per ton. So for people who buy gasoline, you'll notice a slight increase in price. Maybe the low prices at the pump will soften that blow. However, people who heat their homes by propane, natural gas, or oil, there will still be the extra tax added on to your bills. And a little bit of a bright light here, the United Way East Seniors Outreach, with the news that seniors over 70 are being advised to stay home and not venture out during the crisis. The United Way for East Ontario and Good Companions are rallying to assist. So they are putting together a volunteer database, and hopefully they can help provide deliveries to people who are not supposed to be leaving their home. They're also going to be doing one-on-one telephone wellness checks, and a Seniors Center Without Walls program will allow seniors to call in and participate in group activities. It'll be interesting to see how that is conducted. So the service will be provided in English, French, Mandarin, and Cantonese through the community agencies across Prescott Russell, Ottawa, Lanark County, and Renfrew County. So this began early in March in partnership with the public health authorities and dozens of organizations across the community sector. So to learn more, or if you require community service assistance, you can visit their website if you have access to internet at unitedwayeo.ca/COVID-19. And that's it for today's update. Tomorrow we're hoping to have something special for you starting at 10 a.m. Hope to see you then. Take care. Stay safe.